Chamber of Commerce, because one of the first things I did when I first opened my business 12 years ago, I went to, I think it was Ed Perry at WATD. People said, go see Ed, because he's the president at the time. And I did. And at the time, Ed didn't probably even have a computer in his office, so he had every little paper in the world. And he had to, it probably took him a half an hour to find the Chamber of Commerce application.
Well, he still has every paper in the world there.
So it took him about an hour to find the thing. So we got to know each other back then. And ever since then, I've been very involved in the Marshfield Chamber of Commerce. I was honored to be the president of the Chamber for 4 years. I think probably one of the longest serving presidents of the Chamber in a long, long time. When I was there, we probably started with 100 members. And I always say that we got to 200 when I was the president, but I don't know whether it was 200 or 190. You know, that can be debated. But it was a great experience for me, and I'm still on the board of directors of the chamber, because it's a wonderful organization. It does a lot of events. We will continue to do a lot of events, and the business community needs that. The Marshfield, and same thing with Scituate. They have a great chamber. You need that type of organization to kind of bring issues to a front when there are things that are happening in town. And one of the things that happened, and I'll just touch on this, is the chamber can really make a difference. And one of the things was back probably 4 years ago when Brian Curtis, they were trying to take Brian's land, and he didn't want it, and we said no, because he was a member, and we fought for him. So that's the type of thing the chamber can do, and it has done. And not just events, because events are very important to what the chamber does, but also being a business advocate for the business community. And so I'm very proud of the chamber, and the Boys and Girls Club. I don't want to not talk about the club for a second if we have a little time.
You said founder and board member.
Well, yes. That was basically a dream of mine. When I came to town, I think at the time they were talking about the community center, and that was a big fight. And they were trying to figure out whether or not the senior center was going to be with the community center and what was going to happen there. But it didn't happen. And I think even at the time I said, why don't we think of bringing a Boys and Girls Club in, or YMCA? Well, that kind of it kind of didn't happen. So I think maybe 6 months after that, I got a group of people together, and we probably met for 3 years before or maybe 2 years before we even had a board of directors, before we even were incorporated. So it took a couple of years to get incorporated. It took 2 more years to get the club open. The Boys and Girls Club has been open in its present facility for 4 years now, and it's an amazing operation. It's run, the staff is just incredible what the staff does in that 4,000 square feet where we are now at Library Plaza. It's an amazing thing to see. If folks get a chance, go down and check out what the Boys and Girls Club is doing, because there's 900 members right now of kids in that facility, and it's the staff, but it's also I want to say something about the board, because the board of directors of the club is also an amazing group of people. And to do what we did, because way back when we were starting this thing, people said there's no way you can do it. Marshfield doesn't need a Boys and Girls Club. Why would you do it? We have a recreation department. And my thing was, well, we have a great recreation department, but this isn't really about that. This is about another organization. And most communities that have both get along wonderful. The organizations always do things together, and that's kind of what happened right now. The organizations should work together, because they're all trying to do the same thing. And I think that's what ultimately is going to happen with the club. We are in the process of wanting to build a new facility behind Roach Brothers, and we need help to do that. And that's going to be basically a beautiful new facility.
And wasn't Pat Roach?
Pat Roach is an unbelievable gentleman. He's been incredible what he's been giving to the club.
Didn't he give $1 million?
He gave, I think, over $1 million.
Over $1 million, wow.
And but the thing is, it's going to take a lot of money. But the club, it's the one great thing about it is, obviously in these financial times with the towns and the state, the money is raised from individuals. So it's going to be on the backs of people giving, the generosity of the folks out there giving their hard-earned money to get this club going. And that's how we opened it, and that's how we're going to open the new one. And but it's an incredible organization, and obviously I'm proud that I was one of the founders of that organization, and I'm obviously still on the board, and it's a great organization. And there's been a lot of other things that I've been involved with. One of the things that the town is lucky to have is we have a great DPW, and they do a lot of things. And one of the things that I've been involved with for a while is this thing called Rid Litter Day.
Yes.
And we still do that.
Yeah.
The island, Adopt the Island. Do you adopt the island?
Oh, the Eamesway Island.
Oh, yes.
It's mine.
So isn't Isn't that a great program? And that's
wonderful.
one of the things we all should be proud of. And I always say that because, look, not every community has that program. And we have people giving their time to do the islands. We all do. My island has been taken away for a year. They're Merrill Diamond's property. So, hopefully I'll get that one back, or I'll get another island, because I do love doing it. Because it's an involvement that a lot of us should do. And it makes you feel good. Once you do it, it makes you feel good that you did something for the community.
Absolutely.
And but I think that's very important these days. I mean, we can talk about some of the challenges of the money in the future, but one of the things about the program, the Adopt the Island program, is, yeah, the town helps, but it's up to the people who adopt that island to do that island, to take care of that island. So that's a great program.
Ours is a good one because ours is a neighborhood, Eames Way, up at Eames Way School. And so the whole neighborhood either helps to water it or to help put more plants in it.
And I think you guys have won a few times, right? You've already got the...
Well, we've gotten some recognition.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, that's what we do.
When you were in the chamber, we got some recognition.
But yeah, that's the thing about a lot of things coming up and in the future. I think we're going to have to do some things like that and think more out of the box a little bit about some of the programs and some of the things that we need to do and that we need to keep going, because if money is going to be tight, there needs to be ways that we can all work together.
Right.
And that's, I think, going to be important in the future in Marshfield and Scituate, that we all kind of, there's got to be common ground sometimes, Arnie, on a lot of these things, whether it's the library, whether it's the schools. There's going to have to be common ground, because we can't be spending people into foreclosures. We can't. We have to think of ways that are going to help as well, because obviously we need to fund the schools, we need to fund libraries, but we also need to help the people that can't afford it.
Right, absolutely. We've got about 4 minutes left.
Wow, that's quick.
It does go quickly. How about some of the things now, if you become state rep, that some of your goals?
Right.
What would you like to go in there and do?
Well, some of the things, obviously, like I was mentioning too, I'm very conservative fiscally, and some of the things, obviously, that we all have to watch for in the coming years is our local aid money, and how do we make sure that both towns, because both towns were facing overrides last year and maybe in the future, so we need to be careful, and we need to say, how are we going to avoid the overrides? And that means basically getting the state to give more money back to the cities and towns. And that's a must, because look, folks, I think that's what we need to talk about, because that's good government. Doing it the other way, getting overrides to tax people more, is not good government. It's not good government. Now, I think we can do it, but we all have to buckle down. I'm talking the state, and I'm talking the towns as well. And there is money that the state needs to kind of watch. And we could go over that, but maybe another time, where there is some waste in what we're doing in the state. Obviously, the state has a $28 billion budget. And that's a billion. That's a lot of money.
With a B.
And in Marshfield, we spend 70 million. Scituate, I think, is 65 million. So in the state, that's where it's going to have to come from. We're going to have to get more local aid from the state as well as the federal government. The federal government wants to do programs. They want to have No Child Left Behind. But that's where some of the money has to come as well. Right. We need to bring more money back from the federal government to our communities. That has to happen, Arnie, if we're going to move on, because we can't tax our citizens anymore. People want to pay less taxes, not more.
Right.
So that's what we need to think about. That's going to be a big challenge, because we want to keep our programs, we want to keep our schools. We have to fund these things, but there might have to be a different way to go after it. And that's what I think I'm going to do. And there's a lot of other challenges. We got a lot of traffic concerns on 139 in Marshfield. We got some concerns in Scituate as well. There's 40B issues that we have to face here. We really have to face that question, Arnie, and it's a difficult one. And I've already made a stand on it, because I think most people in our communities want to do something about it. And I do too. We need to bring control back to our communities. I truly believe that. And the only way that's going to happen is if we repeal 40B. We need, obviously, affordable housing, but we also need to bring the control back to our communities. And so we have a great town in Marshfield and in Scituate, but we need to protect what we have too, Arnie. We really do, and it's worth fighting for. And I think ultimately, hopefully, most people think I'm the ultimate one that's going to be the best to represent them.
Well, I wish you the best, and I thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Thanks, Arnie.
Really.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us tonight on Meet the Candidates. We appreciate the contributions of our engineer, John Grabowski, and our guest, John Valianti. Join us next week at 6 o'clock on Wednesday night This show will be replayed tomorrow at 4 and Tuesday at 3. And if you'd like to contact us at 781-837-4384 to be a guest on the show, we'd love to have you. So I am Arnie Briggs, the host of the show. Have a good evening.